Learning to DJ can be amazing, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming. You start strong, but then you suddenly hit a wall. You start doing the same mix over and over again, or even worse, you don't know what to practice next. And this is where most DJs give up or just get bored in general. But here's the truth, it's not about talent, sometimes it's about having the right game plan. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 stages that all DJs go through, and I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to show you a tutorial from each stage of that journey. Okay, this is exciting. You're going to create your own custom personal learning journey. Go to wearecrossfader.co.uk and join for free. So when you sign up, you'll be asked a few questions, and this is going to be based on your goals, your equipment, the software you use, the genre you like, and where you are at currently as a DJ, and then he's going to build you a custom roadmap. And you're going to get hit with a few questions. It's only 6 questions, and the first one is, do you have equipment? Now, if you're watching this video and you don't even have equipment, but you have a laptop or even a phone, then you can select, no, I don't have any equipment, and it will direct you to a how to DJ with a laptop course or how to DJ with your phone course, totally free. But let's assume that I'm a beginner DJ, I've got a DJ Flex 4, and I am trying to learn to DJ. I'm using Rekordbox, and my goal is to get into the clubs. So we're just going to answer a few short questions. So, do you currently have access to DJ equipment? Let's choose yes. So click confirm, and then next it's going to ask us to select our equipment. All the equipment is in here. You'll see your specific controller or standalone unit. Let's select Flex 4 for this example. It's going to ask which DJ software am I using. I'm going to choose Rekordbox, but again, all of the different software is in there. It'll all be custom to your own preferences. What are you already confident at? So if you see the drop down, there's a few options here. You've got, I'm a total beginner with no experience. I have tried to learn the basics, but still struggle to mix confidently. I'm a confident at putting a basic mix together. I can mix, but still unsure how to make the most of my equipment. I am a confident DJ, but want to explore advanced techniques. I don't need to learn any new techniques, and I only want to focus on my career. So again, for the purpose of this, let's assume I'm a total beginner with no prior experience. Now this is a fun part. Now this is, what are your favorite music genres? All different types of genres in here, and I'm just going to go with what I like, right? I'm going to go with house, I'm going to go with, let's go techno, let's go hip hop. And then final question is, what is your goal? All of our goals are different as DJs. I just want to DJ for fun, keep it as a hobby. I want to play parties or for friends, family. I want to make money as an event DJ, playing weddings and functions. I want to play clubs, bars and events, or I want to headline festivals and become an artist touring the world. Let's say I want to play in clubs, bars and restaurants. I hit submit, and this is where the magic happens. It builds me my personalized custom learning journey. Now, if you want to fill out yours, I've left the link in the description. Just go to wearecrossfader.co.uk, click join now for free, and build out your own custom learning journey. So stage 1 is the beginner. So you can see here, I've got the beginner Flex 4 DJ course, because that's what we selected as our controller. We've got a beginner hip hop mixing course, and we've got a Rekordbox beginner mixing course as well, because our preferences were, we had a Flex 4, we loved hip hop, and we use Rekordbox, so that makes sense. Stage 2 is the improver. We've got the Flex 4 Pro course and the Rekordbox Intermediate. So it's stepping up a little bit more in level, and then we're going to get genre specific. So once we've learned the basics, we've learned about your hop cues, your phrasing, then we're going to take it up a level, and we're going to think about mixing specifically with genres that we love and using all the different nuanced techniques within that genre. So we've got open format, techno and house. That's a genre specific stage. And then stage 4 is that more advanced creative mixing. We've got scratching, tone play, and transitions to level up our mixes. And then we've got the career-minded DJ. That's stage 5, going from bedroom to the club. We've got music management, CDJ masterclass if we're going out in the clubs, and then how to get gigs. Okay, now for the fun part. We're gonna dive into a tutorial from each stage of this DJ journey. So we'll select the Flex 4 beginner course. All of these are individual courses. You can unlock them one by one, or you can buy the complete package and you can unlock everything in your learning journey. So inside of the beginner Rekordbox, we're going to select one of my favorite lessons, which is catching the number 1, which is really important and one of the fundamental lessons when you're starting out as a DJ. As you can see inside the catching number 1 lesson, you've got the lesson on Rekordbox, and you've got the lesson inside of Serato as well. So let's take a look at the lesson.
There's nothing more important than starting the track correctly. Now we're going to be talking about catching the number one, which is the number one beat, the first beat. We've talked about timing, we've talked about beat matching, but we need to press play at the right moment for beat matching and timing to even come into it. Now what I want you to do is load in house loop number one on the left hand side on number one and number two as well. And we're going to have the BPMs at 125 as well. So what we want really to get into the habit of is using our ears to DJ with. So for this lesson, just bring down your laptop screen so you don't have any kind of visuals, because we're going to be using our ears. So before we start this lesson, I just want to show you a couple of things. If I press play, we're going to be counting in fours. Music structure is based on a series of 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then multiples of that 4 beats. We'll come on to that. So if I press play here, put the channel up, the level up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see in that 4 beat period, we have kick, and then on the second beat, we have a clap. On the third beat, we have a kick, and then on 4th beat, we've got a clap, and then we're back to number 1. So that is called a bar. 4 beats is called a bar. Now we're just going to get used to pressing play on the number 1 beat. We're just going to be counting in fours. We're not going to get into multiples. So I want you to put both faders up on channel number 1 and number 2. Hide any visuals. And we're just going to get used to hitting play correctly on the number 1 beat. Now we're going to be using cue and play, so make sure your cue is at the beginning. So my cue is at the beginning of the track here. Then I'm just going to press play. And what I want you to do is just get used to counting in fours and hitting play on number 1. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you press it correctly, it will sound like one loop. You'll also get this kind of robotic phasing sound. That just means the beats are perfectly aligned. Now what we need to do is press Q and just get repetitive and practice this over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, I was a little bit late there, and there's a little bit of a stutter effect, and that's totally fine. We're not going to make any adjustments just yet. We're just going to hit Q and just get used to hitting that number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, a little bit late. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So you can see there, that's pretty perfect, pretty on time. We're going to hit Q again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can either tap your finger, or you can tap this cue if you want. Again, a little bit out, but you're not going to get it perfect every time, just like I'm not here. That's why eventually we're going to be using the jog wheel to get these perfectly in time if we're a little bit late. Now let's hear what it sounds like if I was to press this on the second beat. So if I was to press this on 2, 1, 2, you see there's a clap every time. So that's why it's important to get it on the number 1. If I were to press this on the third beat, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Sounds like it's in time because it's on a beat, it's on a strong beat, on a kick. But eventually when you've got vocals and melodies and things coming into a track, this just won't sound great at all. So make sure we're on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can see there, I was a little bit late, but later in the next lesson, we'll come on to using this to get the perfect timing like it sounds right now.
Okay, moving on to stage 2, the tutorial we're going to choose is we're going to level up a little bit more. So we're going to choose from the Fletchforth Pro course, we're going to choose a lesson called Quick Mixing. Here it is, quick mixing techniques. You can see here again, it's got the record box version and the Serato, but this is where we're leveling up from that catching the number one. And once we've learned how to beat match, how to phrase, we can then increase the difficulty a little bit by doing some quick mixing.
When mixing any electronic music genres, from house to drum and bass to techno to anything that is played mainly in, pumping clubs, you can use this technique to really elevate your sets, and it allows you to mix very quickly between songs. So we're going to take Beat Jump and we're going to apply Beat Jump to some preparation, and we're going to prepare hot cues 16 bars before the drops of the songs, and they become our intros to the music, and we're going to use hot cues to launch those tracks in at the right time, and we'll go through the preparation and also the mixing technique to apply this. So I've just got a bunch of tracks from the Crossfader music pack here across a few different genres, and I'm quickly going to go through this process and then replicate it across a lot of songs. First of all, what I would do is load a song in. We could come to Beat Jump. I'd then skip forward to the drop, which I know is here. Once we're paused on the drop, I'm going to skip back. If I'm on 32 beats, for example, I need to skip back twice, and that will become 16 bars, because 64 beats divided by 4 is 16, which means 16 bars. Then I'd set a hot cue here, and I've just used hot cue B for this, and that is just 16 bars before that drop. You could do it before any point in the song that you want to lead into making an intro, but for this technique we're going to start doing some quick mixing and swapping the drops over. So on the opposite side, again, if I find the drop, if it was here and we wanted the track to drop in from here, we'd pause it here, Beat Jump, and go back 1, 2. Again, I've got B set up here, which is fine. I'm going to quickly go through now the rest of the songs and just quickly show you these hot cues before then putting them in the mix. So Beat Jump to the drop, back to, there's the B. Now, it doesn't matter that it's in between, the phrasing of the words and the singing or anything like that, because we're going to have the fader down at that point and then reveal it in the mix. Showing you on the opposite side, to the drop, 1, 2, and then we've got B. And I've just replicated that across all these different songs, just to show you on a different genre. Here we are, jump to the drop, go back 1, 2, there's hot cue B. Same on this side. From the drop, back 1, 2, hot cue B. So now let's have a look at how we would then apply the mix, because we've got to be careful. There's a lot going on a lot of the time, 16 bars before the drop. We might be in the middle of a breakdown or a build-up. So we need to be quite conscious about how we bring that track in and where we fade it in. We need to really get quite aggressive on the EQs and maybe using some filter to reveal the song in the mix. So let's start from the top. And I'm just going to go between these two tracks. Let's say this track's playing. I need to make this one the same BPM. And then where do we mix it? Well, let's say it drops in at that point. What I could do is I could let the drop play for 16 bars and then set my opposite side off. Or I could, if I was ready, set my 16 bars off on the drop, but it would become a bit too fast at this point. So we'd let the track play, it drops in. And then all we'd need to do is get ready on B. Once we get 16 bars later, we get ready in 4, 3, 2, 1, B. So I'm going to bring a lot of the EQs down, and I'm actually going to filter it in using the filter. So let's bring the fader up. 4, 3, 2, 1. And start filtering across. Before bringing the low end in as it drops. Then straight away I can cue that up, I can go down to my next song, load it in, get my beats matched, I might speed this one up slightly. And then set it off. Get it on beat. Then get ready to mix in 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm keeping it very quiet at this point because I don't want too much clashing, and then the last minute I'm going to make the swap. And kill it out. Same again. We're going to keep it quite quiet, and then this time I might layer it in because I know the next track is an instrumental track, so I could afford to layer it in and not do a full swap. Four, 3, 2, start the mix. Now actually I want to hold it here, I don't want it to jump in yet, so I'm going to beat jump back. 4, 3, 2, beat jump back. Because I didn't want to commit to the mix at that point, so beat jump's really useful in that instance. Now they should line up really well. 4, 3, 2, and then just make the swap. And like I said, because this is an instrumental on the left hand side, I can let them play together for much longer. Before filtering out and completing the mix. Getting ready with my next song. 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. And then you could wait, you don't always have to go straight away into the next song. You could think, okay, I'm going to let my second breakdown happen here and let the build up happen, and then maybe let it drop in. Or if you wanted to swap the drops, you can see I've got this C hot cue here, which is again 16 bars before, so that could be a marker to set off the opposite side. In 4, 3, 2, 1, and. So then I could just get them matched, and at the last moment just make the swap, and instead of this track dropping in, the opposite one will. So again, a technique to swap the drops and catch the listener out. Just filtering it in at the last minute. Four, 3, 2, 1. And because of the preparation, using beat jump, it means that it's working in phrase, which is what we want as a DJ. We want these tracks to work in phrase and not just come in randomly. They're coming in where the listener is expecting something to change. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other genres. So if we were to go into this genre, load another song in. Let's skip later on in the song. I could set this off on the drop. Start mixing in. And then make the swap. Load the next song in. Get ready to do the same mix. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm actually going to go again from this point for the next phrase. 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Mixing it in on these next 8 bars. 4, 3, 2, 1. And that preparation just allows for that super clean, quick mixing. Let's go to a different genre again. So if we go to this, 140 BPM, we can do the same thing. We've got beat. Cool, we're gonna get ready for the next phrase. You can see it coming up, listen for the change. 4, 3, 2, 1. Start mixing it in. And you'll see the phrasing lines up and it just works seamlessly. So even though there isn't a big drop, a big impact, we're still using the exact same technique but with different genres of music to get that quick mixing going and just get the next track in. It shortens down the intro and it always keeps the intro the same length. You've just got to be quite proactive around the hot cues and the filtering to get it in nice and seamlessly. Let's go again. This one just looks like it's from the start. Four, 3, 2, 1, play. I'm going to go again one more time from that point. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then commit to mixing. And out. So the key takeaway from this is using that beat jump to prepare your music to then make quick transitions and quick swaps. Whether you're swapping the drops, whether you're just quickly transitioning from one song to another to shorten the songs down, you always have that 16-bar intro. And you can choose to always set that on the same hot cue if you want. If you always want it to be on B, go for it. It's up to you. That's personal preference. But just having that as a tool prepared on your music allows you to get quickly into the point of the song that you want and just keep the crowd and the listener on their toes and engaged if you want. But please bear in mind, you don't want to keep your set up here the whole time. You need to have some variety and fluidity throughout your set. And that's by taking the energy level up and down. If you just take it up and keep it there and keep dropping drop after drop after drop, you'll fatigue your audience basically. So what I'd recommend is just doing it for a short period of time, maybe 3, 4, 5 songs even, and then letting the track play, letting a breakdown come in, letting it play for an extended bit of time, and then applying the same technique again, taking it up and then bringing it back down.
Okay, moving on to stage 3. The tutorial we're going to use is from a genre-specific course, which is our techno course. If we click inside. So when it comes to mixing techno or house, looping is essential, a fundamental part of mixing within the genre. We're going to select looping, using loops effectively from inside the techno course. Let's check it out.
Now let's take a look at looping. Now looping is another super important feature that you are going to be using a lot when it comes to mixing techno music. Now in this video I'm going to be showing you a few things that you need to be listening out for when it comes to setting your loops, as well as different kinds of loops. So I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. So if we just look at the screen in Rekordbox here, this also applies for Serato users, Traktor users, CDJ users. You will all have this feature. Now you go to your beat section here, beat loop section in Rekordbox. This is where all your loops are and what we have available to us. Now you can see on the screen that this this last pad here is 32, which means 32 beats. And then this one here is a quarter, which means a quarter of a beat. So we go from a quarter, half, a whole, 2 beats, 4 beats, 8 beats, 16, 32. And then also there will be another page that you can go to where you can go all the way up to 512 beats. The same, if you go backwards, you can go down to 1/64th of a beat. Now, for these purposes, I'm only going to be using from a quarter up to 32. You can use longer loops if you wish. Like I say, I keep going back to this really long drawn out extended mixes. This is a good instance of when you would want to use those longer beat lengths. When it comes to mixing techno music, you may want to have a loop that is 128 beats long. It depends what you're trying to achieve in the mix. So for now, what I'm going to do is just go through a few tracks and have a listen for things that I might want to use as a loop. So I've got 2 tracks here that are both quite melodic techno tracks, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a scroll through the tracks and see if I can find any things that stick out to me and think, right, I might want to use that as a loop and save that for a future mix. So I'm just going to have a scroll through this track on the left hand side here. And I've got a breakdown coming up here. Okay. I think I could get something out of this. Yeah, sounds like that could be quite a seamless loop if we set it up right. So I'm just going to set a cue point there for now, and I'm going to do a 16 beat loop. This is here. So I'm just going to play this through and see how it sounds. Yeah, that sounds pretty seamless. Like I say, you have all these beat fractions available to you, so you can make the loop shorter if you wish. So I could try doing maybe a 4 beat loop, which still sounds okay. I think I'm going to go for 16 beats, just a little bit more drawn out. There's a few different note changes in there as well. Sounds a little bit more seamless on the 16 beats, so I'm going to keep it on that. Now, I'll show you how I would now put this into a mix maybe. So I have a track here that is in the same key of 12A. We've discussed keys in a previous video. So what I'm going to do is just mix these 2 tracks together and see how they sound. I'm going to take the lows out of that. And you can see, if I bring this back in the mix a little bit, if I take it out, it's kind of added like a new dimension to the mix. It sounds like it's supposed to be there. If I take it away again, add it back in. Now I might not want to have it there because there's a vocal going on, but I could add it back in when the vocal leaves the mix. Right here. So I take it away. See, that's a super stripped back track. So that is like a great instance of when I would use that loop. So it just made the mix sound so seamless and like it was supposed to be there. It was really fitted well with the mix, with the track on the right hand side, sorry. So that's an instance of how you may want to use a loop on a more melodic section of a track. I had a nice little arpeggiated thing going on there. So say I wanted to use that loop again in the future, how do I remember where to set the loop? Well, inside of Rekordbox, Traktor, Serato, you have the ability to save your loops. Now, how do we do this? So I have this loop set here, as you can see by the loop in and out is flashing here. My loop is activated. Now all I need to do is simply go to my hot cue section here, and I just need to simply press on a pad that I want to use. So I want this loop to be saved to this pad here, and there you go. You can see that that has come up on the screen as a saved loop with the little orange circle next to it. Now to take this a little bit further, what I could do is go to the section inside of the hotkeys here on Rekordbox. I can right click, add comments, and I could put here synth loop, for example. So there we go. I know that that is a section of the mix that I am going to use again in the future, and I know that it is a synth loop. So now let's take a look at a couple of other tracks and how we can use looping in a few other creative ways. Now, another creative way that you could use the looping feature is by doing what we call loop halving or loop tightening. Now, what I'm going to do here is just start with a 2-beat loop on this track. I'm not going to do it in the mix just yet. I'm just going to show you on one track. And what we're going to be doing is going down the beat fractions. So I'll start with the 2-beat loop here. And what we're going to do is when the loop comes back around, we're going to go down by half the beat fraction. So 1, go to half a beat, and go to a quarter. Now that might sound very familiar. Like I said, you may have heard it in a lot of DJ mixes, but it can be great to use when it comes to making big build-ups in the mix. It can add a lot of tension to the mix and really like drive that build-up. So what I'm going to do is put this into a mix and see how it sounds. I'm just going to stick 2 tracks together. For this track here, I'm just going to start this off, and then what I'm going to do is mix into the next track, and I'm just going to start with a 4-beat loop, and I'm going to work my way down the beat fractions. So let's start these 2 tracks off. I'm just going to exit the loop on here. Let's start these tracks off. So I've got both tracks going. I'm just going to start to mix them in together. So I've just swapped over the low end. Now I'm going to go to the beat loop section. And I'm going to put on a 4-beat loop. I'm just going to bring that back a little bit in the mix, so it's not as loud. Now, as this track on the right hand side starts to build up, I'm going to start to tighten this loop on the left hand side. So just listen to how it sounds. I'm going to go down to a 2-beat. Down to 1. Then to a half. And then finally to a quarter. As you could hear, it just added a new sort of sense of like tension to the mix. It was like another build-up going on top of another build-up. Now, another way of taking this even further, which you might have seen a lot of DJs doing on Pioneer equipment, is tightening the loop manually. Now, this is super useful when it comes to those short beat fractions. So if you're down at a quarter beat already, you can use this feature on Pioneer equipment that lets you tighten that loop in manually. So I'll show you how to do this. So if we've just gone from this 2-beat loop here, and say we've gone down all the way to a quarter, what we can do from here is press the out button on your CDJ or Pioneer equipment. And what we can do is bring this loop in tighter by adjusting the jog wheel. We can go all the way to a tone. Obviously that's a little bit too much, but this is when you see DJs getting creative with that maybe. So to go back out of it, you would just go take it out like that. So that's just manually tightening the loop. You can do this on the in position as well. So if you had, let me just bring it back in. You can also adjust the in point by switching it to the in button here. Now that is another way you could get that loop nice and tight rather than just clicking down the different beat fractions on the beat loop section. You could get to that quarter beat and then start to manually tighten it, and you know, it adds like another build up. So I'll just show you how you can use that manual loop tightening within the mix. So I'm going to go back to the same section of the track, just as we shortened that loop before, and I'm just going to do the manual tightening. So let's have a listen to how it sounds. So let's bring this track in. So I'm going to start with a loop, start with 4 beats, and what we're going to do is work our way down again. So go to 2, I want to add a bit of filtering to this, go to 1, half, go to a quarter, then we press the out button and we're going to start to manually tighten it. So as you could see there, I used that in conjunction with the filter to really high pass it out so it didn't sound a little bit too muddy, and then using that filter also added another bit of energy to it. So those are 2 examples of how you could use loops when it comes to mixing techno music. As you saw in the first example, I had a longer loop set over a musical melodic section of the track. That's also great if you want to use it on like an a cappella or maybe a long percussive piece of music. So that's great for those longer loops. When it comes to the shorter things, obviously I use that on a drum section. You could use that on an a cappella as well and shorten a word maybe. And again, tightening that loop just to take it a little bit further. So go and have a try with those 2 different looping techniques and see how they can fit into your mix.
Okay, moving on to stage 4, where it gets super advanced and we got into creative mixing. So we can choose from scratching, tone play, or transitions. We're gonna choose a lesson from inside the transition course, which is one of my favorite lessons, which is finger drumming BPM transition. So we go from house into drum and bass, but we're using a technique called finger drumming, which is a bit niche, but a great way to transition if you're an open format DJ. Let's go.
In this tutorial, we're going to do a similar thing to the last lesson using the drum and bass pattern, but we're not going to actually use drum sounds. We're going to use synth sounds or melodic sounds, but still creating that same pattern to then layer over drum and bass. So I've got here a house song, which is Tiesto's Split, Only You and the Chainsmokers. So it's just that 128 style BPM house. And if we just skip in, it's got this really nice big breakdown of these really powerful synths. And this is a different BPM anyway. This isn't 128 BPM. This is slowed right down, and then it builds back up later in the song. So this isn't 128 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Much slower than house, but then it builds back up. Back to house here. However, these bits, you can set hot cues, which I've done here, on different notes. So that one's not very good. So that one is a good second beat. 1, 2. So I'm going to get rid of this one. So I'm still using that same pattern as we did before. So it goes 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4, and 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4. So it comes on the offbeat. It's the same as before. So if you've mastered the lesson before, then this is just muscle memory, but using different sounds. And it's showing how you could go from like a housey song or any other genre that's got these exposed melodies or sounds. You know, this doesn't have any drums underneath. And that is just really nice. You can do anything with that then. So by setting up, and I've got 2 different tones here and here to vary it just a bit more. And then you can drop in something underneath. Like again, we've still got Bonfire loaded in. So we're going to try mix these 2 together. This is where you could let the track break down, and you could let this track play and then come back to it. Or we could just do what we did before. So it might be overkill to do it over the drops. There's a lot going on anyway. Just wanted to test it. But yeah, to make the actual transition from one song to the other, it's still the same pattern. Now I didn't even need to pause it then because these sounds don't have other drums behind them. There's enough space, there's enough length in that sound that I don't need to pause it. You could still do the thing where you add the reverb and then pause it, but if you don't need to overcomplicate it, don't. Keep it nice and simple. Let's just do that one more time just to show you. And it drops in. So it just shows, I haven't even touched the tempo just there, but we've got from 128 BPM to 87 or 174 BPM, whichever you have it analyzed as, by using just the rhythm with our finger drumming. So it's a really unique trick that once you've practiced it and you've got that muscle memory of the different patterns, whether it be a hip hop drum beat or a drum and bass drum beat or something like a trap drum beat, you can just use that muscle memory and just recall on it as long as you've got the right point saved in your hot cues, and just recall that pattern to then switch to another genre.
And finally, stage 5, where we start to think about the career DJ. The DJ is going to be in clubs, in bars, making it as a full-time working DJ. We've got music management, CBJ masterclass. Now, music management is a very, very fundamental skill to be a working DJ. So we're going to go inside of the music management course. Again, you can see so many lessons from inside the course, and I'm going to pick one that's right near the end of the course, which takes in basically all of the previous lessons and gives you a hands-on workflow to managing your music better. Let's go.
Okay, so I thought it'd be good to just show you a workflow from pretty much start to finish. After downloading music, getting it into the software and preparing it and organizing it so that it's managed and done. And this is an idea for you. It's not you have to go and do this, but I've combined quite a lot of the things from throughout the course to help bring this together. So here in Rekordbox, obviously it's similar across different software. All it is that Rekordbox is very powerful and has access to way more things, but you can do a similar process across other software, maybe just not quite as granular as some of the things I'm going to show you. But step 1 is to find the music. So I've downloaded this music here in this new crate. There's a bunch of different songs in here. The first thing I need to do is go into my music file and go to all DJ music. And then this is a new folder. I'm showing you as if this is from scratch, but you would hopefully have all your music in there. I would then drag all of this across to here. That's removed it out of that downloads folder. I can delete this folder here, and I've got all this music here now. Then I'd simply drag and drop or import that into your DJ software. So we can just drag and drop it into our entire collection. If at this point you've downloaded a batch of music specifically for a gig, then what you could do is drag and drop that music straight into a specific playlist, such as I've got here, student residency, sports events, weekend residency. I'm going to look at these shortly, but I'd recommend having specific playlists for different gigs. And if you've done a download spree for a specific gig, drag it all into there because it will automatically go into your overriding collection or library anyway. So once you do that, for this instance, I've just downloaded different random tracks. I'm going to drag them all into my entire collection. Then they're all here. I'm organizing my library by date added, so I can see all the latest ones at the top of the library, and that'll help me identify what needs organizing and managing. Then it's as simple as going through each one, and you'll see that I've got specific intelligent playlists set up, and I'm going to run through that while they analyze. So on this left-hand side under playlist, I've got DJ Tools folder, and you'll see we've got acapellas, acapella intros, intro edits, instrumentals, and transition tracks. These are all things that, it's like tools that I can call upon and might be useful to me as a DJ, and they're all intelligent playlists. Genre, I've just put D&B, techno, hip-hop, tech house, and house for now. Obviously, you can choose the genres that are most popular to your library, and they're intelligent playlists as well, and I've put all at the end of them because it's a catch-all folder across my whole collection. I'm not narrowing it down further than that. It's just everything that is going to be tagged as one of those genres. Then we've got energy levels. So I've got my build-up, warm-up, peak time, closing set, and bangers. Then we've got specific gigs. These are normal playlists. These aren't intelligent ones because I want to have more control over them and I want to drag and drop the specific tracks into those gigs. You could automate this process by all means, but you know, it's personal preference. If you want to automate it, just the next step I'm going to show you in the video, just add these as tags in your tag manager. Then I've got BPM ranges. So again, it's that all. So 70 minus is everything under 70 BPM. So you'll see it's all stuff, some stuff that's like samples and some stuff. It's analyzing them now, so they'll suddenly disappear out of this folder in a second. But anyway, 70 to 79, you can see here all the BPMs are within that range. 80 to 89, and it goes up. But this is, again, is all my music library. And I can keep it as simple as that. Then what I'm going to do is simply go to the tag manager here, which we've covered earlier in the course, and you can see I've got the relevant tags. I literally right-clicked and deleted the ones I didn't use and added the ones that I wanted to use. In components, I've got vocal, intro, transition track. As you can see where it matches over here, acapella, intro, instrumental, acapella. By tagging the track as I go along, I can tag it in multiple things and it can end up in multiple different locations over on the left-hand side, which is useful to me as a DJ. So if I went back to my collection and just started working through it, I'd literally load a track in. Let's see. And then I do my management. So it might be that one of the first things I do is sort out this grid here, because that's not right. So that's part of that process. We'd go in and make sure the grid's right. You know, you can do any preparation at this point if you want, but all I'm really focusing on at this stage, because I'm not on the decks, I'm not DJing, I'm not going to start setting hot cues and stuff necessarily yet. You can do by all means, I'm not saying not to, but just the first step of this process is, what is this track? Okay, it's a hip hop track. It's going to fit into that hip hop genre. Components, yes, it's a vocal track, and yes, it's an intro track. It's not an acapella intro, it's not an instrumental, it's not an acapella. And I just work quickly down the list. I'm like, is this going to be a peak time? Am I going to play it in the warm-up? Maybe it could be both, and don't limit yourself. Think, okay, you know what? I could play it either of those instances. I'm going to tick both. That's fine. And then DJ routines here, which I haven't started building out yet in this section of my library, but it's still something that, again, you can start tagging stuff, even if you're not going to use it. Just think forward as well. I've made a DJ routines section where wordplay, banger, that's where banger's located, by the way, sampled and tone play. So if there's a track that I've downloaded and I feel like, oh, I recognize maybe that I could do a tone play with this, or I've been practicing my music and I've come up with a tone play, I could then tag it tone play. So then it can start to catch all of those tracks together in one handy place. You know, you could just make an intelligent playlist to pull them in there, and you could have a folder called DJ routines with some of these in there. So that's another option. So once you've done that, and then simply load the next track in and do the same thing. Like, this is a Kid Cup a cappella intro. So that's a bit different. So it is an intro, but it's also an a cappella intro. We can tag it there. It's also a vocal track. I can come up and say it is a hip hop track. And I could say again, maybe this is warm up set. Or it could be the build up. So it's that transition between the warm up and the peak time of the night. So I think it might get the energy level up and cross people over to start dancing. Again, you just choose the parameters you want and then attach them. And you just quickly work through the tracks. And you can do this while you're DJing as well. There's nothing stopping you as you're DJing, just for a quick second going, okay, I've got this tab open. Tick, 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 as I'm playing and practicing. And what you'll find is then these will continue to auto-populate. So I'm just going to run through why that will happen. If I were to right-click, I'm going to run through them all. So right-click and edit the intelligent playlist. You'll see here the list names acapellas, and I want it to match, this is important, any of the, not all of them, any of the following conditions. So I've used my tag contains acapella, which I've got over here, there. And then I've also got track title contains acapella, because maybe there's stuff in my library that I haven't tagged yet, but it says acapella in the title. If it says acapella in the title, it's likely it's going to be an acapella. Fair enough, there might be some that it pulls through that are acapella intros, and that's where I could then go add track title does not contain intro, and then it narrows that down and it cleans it up a bit more. So you can think about these parameters to really like just narrow down your library. Acapella intros, edit the intelligent playlist. My tag contains acapella intro. Again, you could add in if it's in the title as well, but I'm happy with that. Intro edits, same thing. My tag contains intro. I could also add in there if the track title contains intro, and that would work as well. Instrumentals, same thing. My tag contains instrumental, and I could also add in there if the track title contains instrumental, it can go in there as well. Transition tracks, my tag, and I could also add in, like I mentioned, the track title. Then we've got the genres again with the tags, and I've also added other stuff in here. I've got the drop down as genre. Again, any of these contains drum and bass, D&B, drum bass. That should catch everything that is within that genre for the different spellings that might have been attached in the metadata. And then that means I could simply come in here. Let's say I wanted to try and tag a new set of genres. I could create a new intelligent playlist, and I could say, okay, let me title this one disco all. And I can go, okay, I want the genre to contain disco. Okay, boom, there it is. Now I can Command A all of them, and I can come up to the top here, and I don't have a disco tag yet, but now I can quickly add disco, and I can just tick that, and now all of those tracks are tagged with disco. As well as having them in the genre name, it's good to have that tag there. So it's as simple as that. We can clean up our library quickly with it, but also just manage our library for any new music that we're adding in. Lastly, we've got these few other things. Energy levels. So bangers, as you saw, it's just a tag. Closing set, peak time, warm-up, build-up. Again, they're all tags, like I showed you here, the situations. Specific gigs, these are just normal playlists where you can just drag and drop stuff in there. And these can be ongoing playlists. You could elaborate on them more, and these could be folders instead with playlists underneath. You could have student residencies as a folder, and then have like warm-up, peak time, or like sing-alongs, or, you know, things that are themed more towards that style of event. Sports events, you could have, you know, crowd interaction and this, that, the other. So the themes that go along with your different residencies and gigs. And lastly, we've got BPMs. So if I just edit this, you'll see that I've just done BPM is in the range of 70 to 79. And it's the same for all of them, is in the range between all of them. And I've done a bigger range here because I know I don't play as much of that music. And then 160 plus, I've just done BPM is greater than 160. So then it goes right up to anything beyond that. And I wouldn't need to do more than that. That's then managed. And all it is a case of is when I drag and drop new music in there, it might pull stuff already into the intelligent playlist from the BPM, for example, it'll do. And even maybe the genres, if it's got the genres in the metadata from wherever you downloaded it from. But I can then take that time to just, as I'm loading the tracks in, just add some tags in there. Don't worry if you miss some and you don't tag all of your tracks. It's not the end of the world. But if you tag the tracks that you're using regularly and you definitely know you want to play, then it means you're not going to miss out on them when it comes to that gig, or when it comes to, I'm thinking on the spot, I've got a great instrumental going here, I want to throw an a cappella over it. Cool, let me just go in this folder. And then it makes it easier to narrow down, because you could go back to this track filter option and you could think, okay, well, my instrumental is currently playing in 4A. Let me just tap 4A. And then we've got all of our acapellas, or what it thinks of is our acapellas, all in 4A. So you can start to narrow it down that way. And it's just a really cool way of doing it. So here you can see that the acapellas, for example, I've done any of the, my tag contains acapella, track title contains acapella, or track title does not contain intro, like I showed you. But just have fun with it, you know, try and make it part of your DJing process to just have this open and just tag things as you go along. Intelligent playlists really are your friend to automate this process so much, so that you don't have to drag and drop, and always be scrolling up and down, right? I need to drag it into here, then drag it into there, then drag it into here, and overthinking it that way. That's basically it. I'd then have fun, go and DJ, and then go back to a record pool or wherever else and download more music. You know, this works with streaming as well. So if I went into Beatport and I searched tracks and I searched for a cappella, for example, and then I found some acapellas that I wanted to use. Let's say this one here, this one, I've loaded it. Feel, Josh Wink. It's now analyzed. It's gone into my collection. You'll see here if I search for Feel, Josh Wink, it's there. If I go, let's test. If I go into my DJ tools and acapellas and search Feel, Josh Wink, boom, it's there. All I did was load that song into the deck, and now it's automatically managed it and put it in the relevant playlist within Rekordbox for me to call upon at a future date. So, very powerful stuff. I hope you can use this workflow to your advantage. And yeah, have fun with it at least.
I would love to know in the comments where you are in your journey. I would just love you to write stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, or 5. And please go and create your own custom learning journey and find out where you can improve or where you can go next. It's so much easier to learn something if you have a custom clear plan on where you're headed. So go and create your own custom learning journey. The link is in the description. And if you really like those 5 tutorials that we've just showed you, I think you might like these ones as well.